Why are we even hiring a janitor like you? Isn't this event meant to be exclusive to the company? You don't belong here at all. This is not a place for underprivileged individuals like you. Rather, it is for elite professionals working for a first-class organization. Do you understand that? My kid works for a company that hosted a kickoff party at a posh hotel today. Employees' families were permitted to attend the celebration. And yet, this woman looked down on me because she thought I was a janitor. That's a terrible thing to say, isn't it? I tried to say, "Pardon me, but my kid works at this company." Splash. My head was covered in champagne. You have no right to respond as a janitor. It's likely that you have never even had champagne before. Think of today as your lucky day. You see my kindness. Even though I doubt you can notice the difference, feel free to savor the taste of luxury. What an eyesore you are. Get clean and get out of here. Funny. She chuckled cockily. She had no idea that this particular action would lead to her demise. Tom is my name. My age is 65. In the past, my parents co-owned a tiny coffee business. Regulars kept it running even if it wasn't a flourishing business. I heard my parents conversing in the living room one day when I was in high school. In retrospect, that event altered my life. What ought we to do? We may have to close the store if things continue as they are. Indeed, we won't be gaining additional clients anytime soon, in my opinion. Perhaps the moment has come. That coffee place was amazing. I was devastated to hear that. I wish to keep it from shutting down. How could I proceed? Perhaps we could continue to operate if we had more clients. I thought all night long, and I suggested something to my parents the following morning. Let's provide the regulars with discount coupons. They will have to give them to someone else because they are unable to use them themselves, even though they can put their name on the back. I'll distribute them. My parents laughed at my silly notion since they had all but given up. However, they decided to try it. Initially, a few new clients began to arrive. Word then got out. The place was flourishing before we realized it. My parents had to hire part-timers since they were unable to run the company on their own. We eventually established a second location close by. That one also performed well. We continued to grow and hire. It grew into a modest but prosperous chain, relieving my parents of their financial burden. I was relieved in return to enjoying high school life. At the time, I didn't really have any goals or dreams. However, everything changed when I asked my parents if I wanted to attend college. I'd like to attend college since all of my friends are. Is that something you believe we can afford? What are you discussing? Who, in your opinion, enabled all of this success? It's under our control. Do as you please. Thank you so lot. It's all because of you. Hearing that made me very happy. I desired a position that would allow me to bring such joy to others. After much research, I made the decision to work as a business consultant. A consultancy firm engaged me. In order to identify issues and enhance performance, I would occasionally pretend to be a normal employee and other times to be a regular client. I consistently produced outcomes while working directly in the field. Companies eventually began calling me by name. In the industry, I gained some notoriety as Tom, the passionate consultant. Magazines and publishers asked me to write and do interviews, but I declined them all. Every business faces unique difficulties, and I wasn't sure I could adequately communicate that. Things seemed to be going great, but I did have one source of regret: my son, Kevin. I was so wrapped up in work that I barely spent time with my family. Dad, can we go somewhere together for once? Sorry, work's been hectic lately. Can't you at least take a day off? I can't right now. I made a commitment. I have to see it through. So that's it, huh? You don't care about family. From that day on, my high school-aged son hardly spoke to me. That's not true. I was working hard for the sake of my family too. I thought he'd understand someday. But even after he graduated college and started working, That distance remained. I wanted to talk to Kevin. Just have a normal conversation. Feeling stuck, I asked my wife for help. Honestly, he probably got that clumsiness from you. She was exasperated, but she arranged a dinner for the three of us. She told me to write Kevin a short letter and put my heart into it. It was supposed to be a surprise. Then came the family dinner. Now we have a surprise, my wife announced. I reached for the letter in my pocket, but she gently grabbed my arm and stopped me. Confused, I looked at her. Then Kevin pulled out a letter from his pocket and started reading. To Dad, I used to resent you for not being around, but I made it through college and lived a good life thanks to you. Thank you. She must have told him to write it. There was a bit of sarcasm in there, but it still made me happy. Now for the next surprise, she said, giving me a nod. I read my letter aloud to Kevin. I know I wasn't much of a father. I truly regret that. Still, I want you to know how much I care about you. Thank you for growing into such a fine man. When I finished, my wife spoke. And now, one last surprise. She pulled out her own letter and began to read. To Tom and Kevin. I bet both of you wrote clumsy letters. Let's skip the dramatic and just get along already. After she finished reading, Kevin let out a soft chuckle. What the heck, Mom? Wasn't this supposed to be a surprise for Dad? Wait a minute. I was told it was a surprise for Kevin. Ah, so you tricked both of us. Well, Dad really is clumsy after all. Seeing Kevin smile for the first time in a while made me so happy I almost cried. Kevin's just as clumsy, you know. Now, let's eat, my wife said with a smile as she started serving the food. After that day, I began inviting Kevin out from time to time. Kevin was now a full-fledged working adult. We were both busy, and it wasn't easy to find time. But getting to go out with Kevin once in a while became something I really looked forward to. Eventually, I turned 65 and retired. From now on, I plan to enjoy my time with my wife in peace. Kevin had been promoted to section chief. Lately, he was especially busy and often worked late. Once things settled down, we'd finally be able to spend more time together. Then one day, Kevin, whom I hadn't seen in a while, came to talk to me about a possible job. I was hesitant, but then, for the first time, Kevin bowed his head to me. Dad, please. I agreed to go to Kevin's company under one condition. That condition was that I would work there as a janitor. If I was going to do it, I wanted to do it properly. Actually, I had been planning to clean the whole house from top to bottom once I retired. It just turned out to be Kevin's company instead. I felt excited. About a week after I started working at Kevin's company, I was wiping the glass doors at the entrance around lunchtime when a woman spoke to me. Excuse me, could you lend me something to wipe with? Flashy outfit. Big earrings. She clearly wasn't an employee. Well, maybe she was just in a PCH. Sure, just a second. I pulled a handkerchief from my pocket. Without a word, she took it like it was the most natural thing in the world. And to my shock, started wiping her high heels with it. I stood there stunned. I'm going out for lunch with that hot new hire. I've got to look good, you know. I'm so excited. Then she tossed the used handkerchief onto the ground. Hey, wait. What? Got a problem? No. A janitor getting all uppity. I saw mud at the entrance, by the way. Isn't that your fault? Do your job properly. That's what lowlifes like you are paid for. Come to think of it, it had poured this morning. Someone must have tracked in mud on their shoes. Even so, wiping her heels with someone else's handkerchief and then just throwing it away. As I stood there in disbelief, she waved past me and raised her voice. Oh, over here. Come on, let's go. She linked arms with a man and walked off. How incredibly rude. I took a deep breath and went back to cleaning the glass. About a month later, the company president retired, and a new president was appointed. They rented out a luxury hotel to hold a kickoff event. It was a big gathering to boost morale and bring everyone together. Families were invited too. Opportunities to dine in such a fancy hotel are few and far between. Well, might as well enjoy the meal. Everyone around, employees and their families, seemed to be having a good time with the same thought. Among them, a woman in a crimson dress stood out in particular. Wait a second. Is that the same woman from before? She was surrounded by a group of flabbers, soaking up the attention. Oh my, you're too much. People were buzzing around her with exaggerated praise. Must be exhausting for those around her. There's always someone like her wherever you go. Maybe it's just my old consulting habits kicking in, but I couldn't help noticing. Still, I should focus on enjoying the meal. My wife would be arriving soon. I decided to wait near the entrance of the venue. As I walked past the group, my eyes met those of the woman in the crimson dress. She marched straight toward me and spoke. You look familiar. Excuse me, but what is it you do again? I do cleaning work here at the company. Ah, I remember now. Oh, why is a janitor like you here? This is supposed to be an employee-only event, isn't it? You're way out of place. This is a gathering for top-tier professionals from a first-class company. This isn't a place for the likes of you. The rule clearly states that family members of employees can attend the kickoff. Even as a janitor, that shouldn't matter. And once again, her words were uncalled for. Excuse me, but my son works for this company. Don't lie. You just snuck in here, didn't you? What? Come on. Someone like you, looking that shabby. No way you're connected to this company. People like you drag down the company's reputation. Get out of here before I call security. What does she mean by the company's reputation? Does working for a company require a certain image? That's just wrong. Wrong. I had to say something. Ma'am, you talk about reputation, but don't you think your behavior as... Splash. Just as I started to respond, she suddenly threw her glass of champagne on me. It drenched my head and soaked my clothes. Champagne dripped from me onto the floor as I stood frozen in shock. A janitor like you talking back? How disrespectful. You've probably never even tasted champagne, have you? You poor fool. What a terrible thing to do. Still, I bowed my head. I'm sorry if I upset you. Excuse me. I didn't have time for someone like her. As I turned to walk away, she grabbed my arm. Hold it. You're a janitor, right? Clean this floor immediately. I'm sorry, but... What? Talking back again. I'm Susan, wife of HR Director Greg. One word from me, and your fate at this company is sealed. Then she leaned in and whispered in my ear. Your son works here, right? If you don't do as I say, he'll lose his job. Now kneel down like a proper janitor and start wiping. Everyone around stood by in silence. They must have been afraid of Susan. I didn't want to make a scene and cause trouble for Kevin. As I began to kneel before Susan, the speech of the president began. Unfortunately, our company is going through difficult times. It's with great regret that I stepped down without turning things around. However, to ensure this company's future, I'm appointing a capable new president and forming a powerful leadership team. That will be my final task. Now, please welcome our new president and chairman. The room erupted in applause, and stepping onto the stage as the new president was my son, Kevin. I'm Kevin, and I've been appointed as the new president. May I ask where the chairman is? Our new chairman is also my father. Tom, please come up to the stage. A murmur spread across the room. Wait, is that the Tom? The consultant. The famous one. This is my first time seeing him. Kevin's father. The last names do match. I turned to Susan and said, "Excuse me, Kevin is waiting for me," then walked toward the stage. Soaking wet, I stepped up on stage, and Kevin looked at me in surprise. You're soaked. What happened? I just got the champagne fight started early, I said as I took the mic from Kevin. I'm Tom, and I've accepted the position of chairman. I glanced over at Susan. Her eyes were wide open, and her face had turned pale. As I take on this role, I want to make one thing clear, I said. I am committed to restoring proper function within this company. Over the past few weeks, I've worked undercover as a janitor to investigate what's really happening here. In one department in particular, I witnessed high-performing employees being unjustly transferred. Others were being forced to entertain superiors under pressure from HR authority. Frankly, the list goes on. Sound familiar, Susan? Pouring champagne over the head of an employee's family member and discriminating against them based on their occupation. Do you not find that appalling? All eyes in the room turned to Susan. Her face turned bright red, and she opened and closed her mouth, speechless. I addressed the room. A company is made up of people doing their jobs. If someone consistently acts out of line, the entire organization starts to rot. The priority is to remove that rot and create an environment where the company can operate properly. This is beyond the scope of a consultant's role. That's why I've accepted the powers of a chairman. I will do everything in my power to make this company a place where everyone can do their jobs, succeed, and feel secure. I'll do whatever it takes, and I ask for your support to protect this company and each and every one of you. I bowed deeply to the audience. After a short pause, the hall erupted into loud applause. And then, with her red dress trailing behind, Susan stormed toward the stage. She suddenly grabbed the mic from me and shouted, "Everyone listen to me. This is a conspiracy. A father and son takeover. They're going to turn you all into corporate slaves. It's ridiculous for a section chief to become president. My husband should have been president." Her voice rang so loud it made the mic screech. Everyone froze in shock at her outburst. Says the real slave driver. The heckle came from somewhere in the crowd. Susan screamed, "Who said that? Show yourself. I'll have you fired. Who was it? You? You?" She started pointing wildly, demanding names. Security rushed over. "Let go of me. Listen up, everyone. The president is my husband. He should be president." Even as she was being taken away, Susan kept shouting. The truth was, the president had originally intended to name Greg, Susan's husband, as his successor. Greg was Richard's cousin and had always been someone he trusted. But in recent years, Greg's behavior had deteriorated badly, and the company's performance followed suit. The president's long-standing trust in Greg clouded his judgment. Meanwhile, the one quietly holding the company together was none other than Kevin, who was section chief. After a few meetings, the president became convinced of Kevin's potential and asked him to become president. Kevin initially refused. "I can't be president. I'm still young, and I wouldn't have the support of senior staff. Besides, I've been hiding something from you. I'm in a serious relationship with your daughter, with marriage in mind." President Richard was stunned. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want my personal life to influence your decision," Kevin said, bowing deeply. "I see you're sincere and fair. I can trust you with my daughter, and with this company. It's selfish of me, but as your future father-in-law, I asked you to accept the role. It's for the good of the company." Moved by Richard's passion, Kevin finally agreed to become president. That's when the secret training began. After finishing his long days as section chief, he spent every night in the president's office, learning how to run the company. He got home late and was exhausted. Still, his sense of duty kept him going. Once he was up to speed, he began having in-depth discussions with Richard, day after day, late into the night. But even with all that effort, Kevin couldn't find a breakthrough. So he finally told Richard about me. I'm the son of Tom, the passionate consultant. Maybe, just maybe, my father could help. Without hesitation, Richard bowed to Kevin. Please ask for his advice. Beg him to help this company. I'll pay him from my own pocket if I must. My father's not the kind of man who works for money. Let's just explain the situation honestly and ask with sincerity. I hate to pull him out of retirement, but it's our only hope. That's how I got involved. Called into the president's office and briefed on the company's troubles, I agreed immediately. To understand what was happening inside, I asked to work freely, as a janitor. They gave me a uniform and cleaning supplies, and I got to work. I never imagined it would all lead to what happened at the kickoff event. After Kevin finished his speech as new president, I explained to him why I showed up soaking wet. He apologized, saying, "It's fine. If it helps the company, I'll endure anything." That was nothing. I almost lost my composure back there, but I kept that to myself. The next day, Greg came to the president's office to bow his head. Kevin looked at him with disappointment and asked, "I respected you from the moment I joined the company. How did it come to this?" Greg bowed deeply. "I had no excuse. Please discipline me as you see fit." His voice was heavy with remorse. Kevin raised his voice. "You were such an admirable person. What happened to you? I'm truly sorry. It's shameful. But please, let me explain." And so Greg began his confession. My wife and I were overjoyed when I was promoted to head of HR. Of course they were. Being named a department head is a recognition of years of hard work. One day, I told my wife maybe becoming president isn't such a far-off dream. She said she'd support me all the way. It seems Susan started to change around that time. She formed a social club for the wives to gain influence and hosted events to get closer to powerful subordinates and department heads. That much was still acceptable. But then people started cozying up to her just for power, with nothing but flattery and praise. She gradually began wielding power as the HR director's wife, and eventually became addicted to it. By the time he realized, there was no turning back. No matter what he said, she insisted it was all for his sake. Even when he tried to stop her, he gave in to her desire to be the president's wife and ended up abusing his authority. In truth, she was always strong-willed and determined. That's what I had admired about her. She supported me for years, but now she's doing things like this. Greg bowed his head, his face twisted in anguish. I'm prepared to resign. My wife made grave mistakes as a human being, but I'm the one who let it happen. And I failed the company too. I accept any punishment. His voice trembled and his shoulders shook. There was no doubt. He was truly remorseful. Kevin furrowed his brows and clenched his jaw. In the heavy silence, I finally spoke. Greg, you'll be transferred. No title. No subordinates. You won't be involved in any of the company's core functions. It's a remote assignment, frankly, a dead-end post. Still, I want you to prove your commitment by producing results there. Can you do that? Greg responded without hesitation. I humbly accept. There's company housing available. Will you be bringing your wife? If possible, yes. Wouldn't it be better to leave her here? The living conditions will be very different, and it may only make things harder for you. I'm sorry, but she's someone I once truly loved. I want to take the time to talk things through with her properly. I see. Fortunately, it's a quiet post. You'll have the time. Take it slow and talk things over. I'll issue the transfer order immediately. Greg expressed his gratitude and left the room. A heavy silence settled over the president's office. Kevin let out a deep sigh. Then, with frustration, he said to me, "He was such a good person." Kevin stared off into the distance. Yeah, I could tell. I had sensed that too, in the way Greg spoke. You wouldn't know this, Dad, but back in the day, he used to look out for me a lot. Took me to events, invited me to study sessions, even gave me business books he thought were good reads. I really looked up to him. I thought we cold. He stopped mid-sentence and covered his eyes with his right hand. I heard a sniffle. Drops hit the desk. I thought of the times I failed to be there as a father, and I couldn't find any words to comfort Kevin. I gently placed a hand on his shoulder. The love for family, doing what's right for the company. Both are important. But even the smallest rift, the slightest unraveling, can lead people to make mistakes. And unless those mistakes are corrected, someone will continue to suffer. When you can't see your own mistakes, or can't fix them, even if you do, it's okay to lean on someone else. I don't want to see anyone cry anymore. I will rebuild this company. This is my final mission.